Hi everyone, my name is Bree, and this is my video over the week 4 discussion board post. Question 1 dealt with narrative theory, and I didn't find too much in our textbook about it. It was mentioned within chapter 10 in the lineation theory, so I went through outside resources to find the main elements of narrative theory, and they explained that narrative is very important because it's very strategically structured and organized to get certain messages across or to elicit certain feelings. And the main elements of this theory come down to time, process, and change. So I read the story of Anthony Dickey, who was a brain cancer survivor who was diagnosed in 2015, and it talks about his time with cancer and all the things that his family went through, specifically his wife when dealing with the cancer, because she was the main head of household while he was sick and trying to help raise their children and making sure that everything was going the way it should be going. And his story talked about the struggles and the processes that his family had to go through in order to find doctors who confirmed his diagnosis of cancer, because at first they thought it may have been multiple sclerosis, but they came down to the conclusion that in fact it was cancer. And so his story talks about the hardships that he went through and then the changes that his family had to come to terms with, especially now that he's a survivor. He's in remission, and his family went through a lot of changes and a lot of hardship during his treatments, but we're happy to know that he is a cancer survivor. And then the next question that we had to deal with this week talked about the diffusion of innovation theory, and I found that the main elements of the diffusion of innovation theory are innovation itself, communication channel, time, and social system. And our question was, are smartphones applicable to the diffusion of innovation theory? And I would say yes. I would say that the smartphone is the innovation in question. It is the innovative technology that has revolutionized our modern day world that we live in. It is the primary communication channel that most people use. I found that Pew Research Center had conducted a survey research project over Americans and their smartphone usage, and they determined that in 2017 that 95% of adult Americans and teenage Americans owned and operated on smartphones, which is a ginormous increase from what it was in 2011 when they initially conducted the research. In 2011, they found that only 35% of Americans were owning and operating their smartphones. So we've definitely come a long way with smartphone technology, especially now that everyone has them. I'm recording this video on it. And I will say that I think most of us are addicted to our smartphones, especially with the rise of social media. It's kind of hard not to be when you're constantly getting glimpses into other people's lives, especially when you want to feel that sense of connection to people you might not get to see all the time. I'd say that cell phones are the most popular communication channel that we have, and they have become a root of our social system that we have. Even websites all across the country are changing their platforms, their online presence, to better accommodate mobile technology and mobile platforms. Most of our favorite websites that we have now all have a mobile app. As the most popular phrase goes, there's an app for that, and I really believe that there is an app for everything. So those are my highlights on questions 1 and 3 that we had to deal with this week, and I wish you all good luck.